Sometime a year or so ago, we were joined by Dawson Dobson, and he is into cross-country motorcycling. The guy's good, and he joins us this morning, 17 years old. Dawson, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Thanks for being with us, and we celebrate with you some of these national championships. What's going on with that?
I just wrapped up 2 national championships. Just got back home from South Carolina. Been a good year.
Absolutely. Now, is this more on a United States level, or other countries compete in this, or what?
It's more on the United States level, but many racers come from overseas and all the races.
Yeah. You started this trek a long time ago, didn't you?
Yes, sir. I started at 6 years old.
Yeah, and just kind of evolved into more and more?
It did. More traveling, more racing, and the more I did, the more love I had for it.
What does it take to compete on a national stage like you have?
It just takes a lot of commitment from your family, a lot of training from yourself, a lot of commitment from yourself. Just got to be dedicated to it and keep your mind in it.
Well, just kind of describe for those who may be watching Cross State this morning exactly what it is you do and how it's accomplished.
I race motorcycles, so therefore you get on it and you ride. But you go across rocks and logs, you jump trees.
Kind of like an obstacle kind of deal?
Yes, sir. It is. You have creek crossings. The full gas sprint duro, it works a little bit different. You take off one at a time. It's kind of like a qualifying session, kind of like in NASCAR. So that's a really fun one. And then in the GNCC, you take off in rows. You'll take off 800 riders in the morning, and you'll have different classes. So in my class, I take off anywhere from 20 to 40 racers. One time you take off a minute apart, and you race for 2 hours.
Do you tire? How do you train for this?
A lot of cardio, a lot of running, cycling, strength training, and just much cardio as you can get, the better. Do
you know the courses before you run them?
You're able to walk them, but the courses being about 12 miles, I don't actually walk the whole course. Mm-hmm. So I just look at bits and pieces of it.
Yeah. What about your bikes? How many bikes do you have?
I have 3 bikes, 1 practice bike, 2 race bikes.
Do you choose one bike over another for a particular course?
Yes, sir, I do. The way we have it set up is I have a full gas bike for the enduros and one for the GNCC. The GNCC, it's a little bit tighter, longer, so you want a little bit more torque so the bike can bog a little bit on the rocks and all. And then for the full gas, you want one that'll just scream RPMs and all.
Dawson Dobson, our guest this morning. Talk about some of the trophies and stuff you got here today.
The trophy I have right here is the #1 plate.
Let me hold that up just a little bit so they can see it a little bit better.
It's a national #1 plate. I was presented this by the AMA manager. The one over here is from Brazil, Indiana. I won that day. And
now, when was this? I know it was this year, but when was it?
July 30th.
All right.
And this one right here, it was my last GNCC of the year. It's a Mountain Man. That's where the series is from. Is their hometown race in West Virginia. And winning that race, they got presented with a Mountain Man and a medal.
Do a lot of people come to these races?
A whole lot. You'll have probably about 5,000 to 10,000 people.
Wow. This race was run in July.
Yes, sir.
Do you train differently in the heat of the summer than you do? Is this a year-round kind of thing?
It is. You start in March, you finish in November, and then you have to usually next February or March to start. So you get a good off-season training. And but for the cold and all, it's about the same training. You just can't put too much in the summer because the heat exhausts you.
And I'm going to ask you some questions that probably novices like me would wonder about. When you're on an endurance race, for instance, how do you get to drink water, or do you get breaks, or?
You don't get a break in the GNCC. You do in the full gas. But for the water, you wear a Camelback on your back and fill it full of water or Powerade or something like that. And you sip on it for the whole race, keep you hydrated.
in July, it's awfully hot wherever you are in the United States. Did you have to pace yourself that day?
Yes, sir. You do have to pace yourself a little bit in the GNCC, but full gas, test being about 10 minutes, you go full out.
Again, describe some of the basic differences in the two.
The basic differences in the two are, GNCC, you're taking off with a bunch of people at one time. And the full gas, you take off one at a time.
You say a bunch of people at one time. Like how many?
About 40 people at one time.
When you, and we'll get to the other part in a minute, but when you got all these people starting off, that sounds like an accident waiting to happen. They all together.
There are some accidents in the first turn sometimes. People get jumbled up and they go the falling, but usually not. It's pretty smooth. They have the first turn pretty wide so you can all fit through there.
Yeah. Now, more of the major differences between the two.
You take off one at a time at the full gas and with the row in GNCC. With full gas, you do 6 tests a day and you have 2 full days of racing. You start at about 11, go to about 4. And then, taking off one at a time, 20 seconds apart. And this one is on a time basis. So whoever sets the fastest time wins that test. And at the end of the day, they calculate all the tests, track the times, and see who won for that day.
Is there monies involved in these type competitions?
There usually is at the end of the year in contingency for the amateurs.
Dawson Dobson, our guest, he's 17 years old. When you first began riding, was it just something that you loved to do?
Yes, sir, it was. My grandfather bought me my first bike, and my dad took me out, and we went to ride, and, it was just love at first sight, as they say. But it really was. It was just something I really loved to do. What
about the cost of being involved in a sport like this?
You have a lot of travel expenses because you traveling thousands of miles away, and bikes they're pretty costly. Gear's costly.
What does an average bike cost for competition?
For my size, about $10,000 now.
Is there a particular, and we're not going to basically promote brands this morning, but are there particular bikes that you really like above others?
Yes, sir. I like the KTM, which is Austrian made, and it's a little different. Most bikes are made in Japan. They use a steel frame instead of an aluminum frame, so it's a little different.
Are you into color schemes as far as, what you wear and your bike colors and stuff?
Yes, sir. I like to be a little bit colorful, let your spirit out a little bit.
Yeah. You're in a break now?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. And you'll pick up competition again in March?
February this year.
February?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been hurt riding?
I have. I've actually, my worst injury was actually in football, but with riding, I think I broke 16 bones, dislocated kneecaps, ripped my shoulder open with a rock once, so that was real fun. And
yeah, it sounds like it.
And I've tore my meniscus in my knee.
You just keep on keeping on, right?
That's right.
It's almost like any other sport. There are injuries that you have to recover from. There's training that you have to do. There's travel that you have to do, and you got to love it, I guess.
You do. There's injuries in every sport, as everyone knows, but it's all about the same with the injuries. It's just something you have to deal with, and you can't let it get into you and bother you too much.
For these type races, how do you prepare?
Well, I just go out there and I ride about an hour, 2 hours each day. I get up in the mornings, I go to the gym, come back, I go for a run, try to eat clean. It's about the only way I know how to prepare.
So it's not just hop on a bike and ride.
No, sir. There's a lot of training to it.
Yeah. Dawson Dobson, 17-year-old champion in motorcycle, GNCC national champion, and a full gas sprint enduro national champion as well. What's next for you?
Next is just a good off season, good training, and then start the year at I think the full gas enduro in February. I'm going to A class, which is the last step before, possibly going pro. So I'm looking real forward to that, and just
You see that in your future?
I do. I hope to see it, and I believe I might have a career in this.
Yeah. Some of the favorite courses that you run?
My favorite this year would have been a snowshoe, West Virginia. It takes off on Route 66 in the middle of the village. So that's pretty neat. You run down, you take a right and straight through the village and into the woods. And then for the full gas, my favorite course would have been Young Harris, North Carolina, right on the Georgia-North Carolina border. It was a good course. It was tight. I like tight because that's what I train on. And had a few rocks, so it was like at home for me.
Yeah. The speeds that you run these type races?
You run pretty up there. You can, one of the slowest sections, maybe 10, 15 miles an hour. And if you get down a big straightaway, get all the gears out of the bike, you may be pushing 60, 70. But I mean, you got to get really stretched out.
Is this type sport growing in America?
I believe so. I really do. It's picked up a lot over the past 2-3 years. Woods racing has always been big in Europe, but once it's come to America, it's just something people like and are getting more into. It's a little bit more extreme.
Yeah. Dawson Dobson, 17-year-old GNCC national champion and a full gas sprint enduro national champion as well. In 2017, have you already got it penciled in your mind how many races you're going to run?
Yes, sir, we do, which we're working on that, but we have an idea. We're planning on doing the full 13-round GNCC Championship Series again this year. I think we're going to do full gas. We may try to squeeze in some national enduros, do a few local races.
As a champion, you're always being kind of looked at to pick off and to win a championship again. You just don't win it. You have to work at it and believe in yourself. How do you believe in yourself? Where does your confidence come from?
Confidence, it's a tough thing to have. You got to take the good with the bad. When you win, your confidence level's really up there. And then, if you lose, it's not there. So you got to fight every day to find the motivation to do what you got to do and go out there and do your job.
In February, it's very cold still.
Yes, sir.
Are there some parts of the country that you try to steer away from in cold weather? And how do you prepare for competition in very cold weather?
We do try to steer away from the snow. I'm not much of a snow person myself. But, the cold, you got to be warm and keep yourself warm with plenty of clothes on, but you can't have so much you can't move when you're riding. So, I like to keep some of those thermal shirts on, and I wear stockings on my legs for my knee braces, of course, but those help keep the legs pretty heated and warm.
Dawson Dobson, our guest this morning. Dawson's 17 years old, and he's been doing this. He started riding bikes when he was 6 years old. And what do you do outside of competition? What do you do for hobbies?
I don't have really much time for hobbies with my school and my racing and my training now. But at the end of the day, I like to read, and I'm a big movie fanatic. I like music, and I like to hang out with my family, play with my dog a little bit.
Well, talk about your education and how you balance the two.
Well, that's the difficult thing. I do my schooling in the afternoons after I'm done with my training, my riding. I'm holding a 4.5 GPA. Homeschooled through the Becca Academy in Pensacola, and that's about it.
Do you have a website or anything that people can see more of your stuff, or YouTube or anything like that?
I do have a YouTube. Just go up there and search Dawson Dobson and to pull up my videos. And mostly on social media. I have a Facebook. I don't really use it that much, but I'm more of an Instagram kind of person. So I post on there a good bit.
Are there guys, or I guess there are ladies involved in this type racing as well, correct?
There are, and they're fast too. They're real fast.
do you have a team, or is it basically you, or who works on your cycles and stuff?
My dad works on my bikes and all, and but no, I'm not on a team. We do it on a privateer effort, so it's just my dad, my grandmother, and myself.
Yeah. So when you travel, you haul your bike in a trailer or something like that?
Yes, sir. We haul it, and we have a trailer haul it in, and we travel in our motorhome.
All right. Dawson Dobson, 17-year-old champion, and we look forward to more of these and look for you in the professional level as well. And we hope that you and your family have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, and we're very proud of you here in Sylacauga, Alabama.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It means the world to me.
Dawson Dobson, our guest this morning here on Daybreak. We've got more just ahead here on WOIL TV 47 in the Alabama Cable Network. Thank you for joining us on this pre-Thanksgiving Wednesday morning, the 23rd day of November. More Daybreak follows this.